do feature selection, classification, and many other things in machine learning. Yeah, probabilistic framework in machine learning is that learning can be thought of as inferring plausible models. That is not exact model, plausible model is possible models only. Using these models, we can do prediction and we can make decisions efficiently. Deep learning, it is a recent type of learning that is also a subset of machine learning in AI only. It is doing learning from unstructured and unlabeled data also. That is a specialty. It is capable of doing unsupervised learning. Normally, we are in classification algorithm. When the learning algorithm is given, we give some labels so that it is classifying very easily. But here we need not give labels. Even feature extraction it will do automatically. Feature selection it will do automatically. Finally, it will do the classification also. Now let us come to the problems that will be needing quantum computing. In expert systems and knowledge-based systems, inference can be done using quantum computers. Knowledge representation and searching of knowledge can be done using quantum computer. All the machine learning algorithms like supervised and unsupervised learning, regression model, probabilistic model, neural network, they can be also done using quantum computers. According to Lorenzo, supervised learning is used for many applications. For one example is image recognition or consumption of some items, that forecasting of that consumption, etc. For this, the complaint made by many customers is delay. The delay and the accuracy in the forecasting due to reduction in the data set. We are reducing the data size of the data set for converging fast. But if quantum machine learning is coming, they will develop new algorithms, quantum computer algorithm. That algorithm will be able to give more accuracy. Very fast it will converge. That means the acceleration can be very exponential also. Some of the algorithms, like a popular algorithm like supported machines, neural network, they can be done using quantum computers. Dimensionality reduction is done to reduce the attributes which are not contributing in a classification problem. Suppose you are doing classification, hundreds of attributes are there, but only few attributes are useful to do the classification. Even if you add some more attributes, the training and the testing time is increasing. Not only the timing problem, but accuracy also will be reduced by confusing the classifier. That is why we will be going for quantum learning methods. When you go for quantum computers and quantum machine learning methods, the speed can be increased first of all. Once you increase the speed, a suitable algorithm also can be developed. So if you develop a suitable algorithm, it will use unlimited space. That is not limited space, it will be having more space so that it can use more data set. Reinforcement learning in AI is used in many applications including video gaming, but that is becoming very complex and becoming slow. That is why we have to go for faster methods with quantum computing. Some theoretical proposals are already available on quantum computers. In future, when it is coming, it will be solved by quantum computers in an efficient way. So in today's talk, I wanted to focus on the library called open source library called Quantum Machine Learning Library, that is TensorFlow Quantum. It was proposed by Google Research Group. It was done in collaboration with University of Waterloo, etc. and it is Google announced the release of TensorFlow Quantum, an open source library for the rapid prototyping of quantum ML models. But it is not yet used by many researchers, but they have released some papers also. According to them, the library is providing all the machine learning algorithms and doing it fast. A quantum model has the ability to represent and generalize the data within quantum mechanical origin. Therefore, we can use the data, that is quantum data you have to use, and hybrid quantum classical models you have to use, so that the algorithm can converge fast. If you see quantum machine learning model, it can use the quantum data which exhibits superposition and entanglement. It will lead to joint probability distribution. When you compute the joint probability distribution function, let us say Markovian chain or anything, when you compute in natural language processing, the problem faced by us is the speed. One example of quantum data where we can get is from quantum processors, data coming from quantum processors, quantum sensors, quantum networks, etc. They will be useful for generating quantum chemicals and quantum matter, quantum control, quantum communication network, and they can be useful for doing quantum image processing. Let us see the features of quantum TensorFlow. The quantum TensorFlow allows researchers to construct quantum data set. First of all, when you want to do a research, you have to identify the problem area. Once you identify the problem area, you will be searching for some research papers which are already available. In normal research, matured algorithms are already available. If you go to the library, for example, you are working on machine learning, thousands of algorithms you can get. If you work on image processing, thousands of algorithms. Networking, immediately you will be getting a number of algorithms. But if you are working on quantum computer, you will not get algorithms. But we need not worry about that. Even though it is new area, we can apply the principles which are already available. That principles you have to make it to suit the new requirements. That is why you have to go with the same methodology: data collection, algorithm design, applying that algorithm, testing it, comparing with the existing work. If it is providing better result, then repeat the experiment. For so many experiments, if it is providing better result, you can publish a paper. Like that you can proceed. So first construct quantum data set. Then you have to propose a model, quantum model. Then classical control parameters will be converted into tensors, so that you can use the TensorFlow package very easily. The outcome of quantum measurements will be leading to classical probabilistic event. So whether it is normal machine learning or even TensorFlow, they are using the probabilistic approach only. And the training can be done using the standard Keras functions itself. We will see an example of a supervised classification using quantum computer, quantum TensorFlow. It is providing a facility called quantum neural network. In the neural network, the key challenge is noisy data. Normally, whenever we do image processing with neural network, we do pre-processing. If you don't pre-process, the noisy data will reduce the accuracy and it will increase the classification time also. Therefore, first thing we do is removing the noise. Next thing, these are the steps. To build and train a quantum model, the researcher can do the following: prepare a quantum data set. That means quantum data is loaded as tensors. Yeah, it is a tensor is nothing but a multi-dimensional array of numbers. Each quantum data tensor is specified as a quantum circuit written in circ. It generates quantum data on the play. First of all, you are generating initial data, and you can generate the data automatically also if you are putting on the tensor. That circ will be generating automatic data. The tensor is executed by TensorFlow on the quantum computer to generate quantum data set. So on this, up to this, what is done is data generation. Data generation from the machines itself is producing a bigger data. It will produce continuous data, big data it will produce. That is very difficult to handle by normal computers, but here it can be solved. Now, second thing is you have to build the neural network model. The researcher can prototype a quantum neural network using circ. It will later embed inside the TensorFlow compute graph. So before doing with the TensorFlow, you develop a neural network model and fit that with the TensorFlow compute graph. You can select different categories based on the knowledge of the quantum data structure. Next, the goal of your model is to perform quantum processing in order to extract information hidden in a typically entangled state. The quantum model which you are using will disentangle the input quantum data. After that, it will be accessible to processing classification problem. We will do many things, but I will take a simple example of doing averaging. The measurement of quantum states extracts classical information in the form of samples from a classical random variable. When you have a random variable, it will have a probability density function. Using that probability density function, you can study the properties, some of the properties, main properties, average, mean, standard deviation. These two properties will be analyzed. As many variation algorithms are depending upon the measurements, and we can do expectations. In mathematics, we do expectation as a product of x into p of x. X is a random variable, that is a discrete value, let us say. Even for continuous we can do, but for discrete we will do the summation. For a continuous value we will do integration. Once the classical information has been extracted, it is in a format amendable to further post-processing. After this, we will do statistical analysis. We can find the correlation, and we can analyze the difference between normal neural network and deep neural network on that. The results of the classical post-processing is evaluated, and the accuracy is measured finally. After evaluating the cost function, the pre-parameters in the pipeline should be updated in a direction expected to decrease the cost. Always we are doing for optimization. We will find the initial cost. We will modify the algorithm. By modifying the algorithm, if you are able to reduce the cost, that will be used. This is most commonly performed via gradient descendant. Now, the quantum search algorithms are also available. Some of the search algorithms, let us take the depth first search algorithm. If you take the depth first search algorithm, directly, if you draw a graph, you start with the root node. Go to the children node, like that it will be going on up to goal node. But with the application, if you want to take, let me take the application of missionaries and cannibals problem. In the missionaries and cannibals problem, there are 3 missionaries and 3 cannibals. They are standing on one bank of the river. They are to be transported to the other bank of the river. The capacity, there is a boat whose capacity is only 2. Boat will not go automatically. At least one driver, that is either a missionary or a cannibal, should drive it. Using these constraints, that is the main constraint is if the number of cannibals are greater than the missionaries at any time. That is, if the number of cannibals outnumber the missionaries, they will eat the missionaries. With this constraint, you have to take them to opposite side. So how you can proceed is, you can have a root node. In the root node, left side, you will have CCC, cannibal, MMM, missionary, and boat. In the right side, null initially. It can have different children for this root node. Suppose you are sending 2 missionaries to the right side, that is one child. 1 missionary to the right side, that is another child. Then 2 cannibals to the right side, that is another child. Like that, you can create any number of children. But while creating the children, whether it is creating a legal children or that children will be leading to a illegal state. Legal means even if the children are generated, the solution can be obtained. If illegal means if you are sending 2 missionaries from left to right, left bank to right bank of the river, 3 missionaries, among the 3 missionaries, 2 are sent already. Only 1 missionary is there in the left bank along with 3 cannibals. It is violating the constraint that at any time, if the number of cannibals are outnumbering the missionaries, the cannibals will eat the missionary. So that constraint is violated. 1 minute. So depth first search, it can be done for any level. Water jug problem, you are having a 4-gallon jug and a 3-gallon jug. There are no measurements on the jug. You can fill the water jug or empty the water jug. This is the water jug problem. The problem is, without having a mark on the 1 gallon, 2 gallon, like that, there is no mark on the water jug. You have a 4-gallon jug and 3-gallon jug. You have to fill the 4-gallon jug with 2 gallons of water. For doing this, you can fill the water, you can transfer the water from one jug to another jug. For every transfer or every operation, you can generate one child of the tree. You can generate a tree for the problem. Do the search in such a way that you are able to solve the problem. In game playing, they are using Minimax algorithm. The Minimax algorithm, there will be a play called maximizing play and another play called minimizing play. In the maximizing play, when you are playing, you will try to maximize your chances of winning. In the minimizing play, the opponent will be playing. You are expecting in such a way that you are increasing the chances of your winning and minimize the chances of the opponent's winning. If you take the example of cricket, when you are batting, you are trying to maximize the score for your team. When you are bowling, you are trying to minimize the score of the opposite team. That is an example of chess playing, game playing with the Minimax algorithm. Here also, the search space is very large. The search space must be pruned to get a plausible result, good result. But with the quantum, quantum machine, they are solving and putting in that in the library. The search algorithms are also put into that. They are having algorithms like shortest path algorithm, including traveling salesman problem. 8 puzzle. In the 8 puzzle, you will have a square of 8 by 8. You have to arrange them into ascending order or descending order. The 8 queens problem, you can start with the 2 queens or 4 queens, 8 queens, 16 queens, etc. in a chessboard. In such a way that no 2 queens are coming in the same row or same column. If 8 queens are there, you will be using a board of 8 by 8, that is 8 rows and 8 columns. If you keep the first queen in the first row, first column, you can keep the second queen in the second row, second column. That itself is a good solution. Like that you can keep, but you need not have always the diagonal 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, like that. You should not have. You try to avoid even the diagonals so that they can be kept in a better way. The current days challenge is big data is a challenge, since big data exceeds the reach of commonly used hardware environments. If you see the quote by Teradata magazine, the big data exceeds the reach of commonly used hardware environments and software tools for capturing, managing and processing it within a tolerable elapsed time. Normally, we want to process the data within a tolerable elapsed time. Big data refers to the data size whose size is beyond the ability of typical DBMS tools to capture, store, manage and analyze. So the important points are noted. Exceeds the reach of commonly used hardware, and software tools cannot be are not able to capture, manage and process it. It is beyond the ability of the typical DBMS packages, and they cannot be, the existing database tools cannot capture, store, manage and analyze them. How big data is different is, normally the database in the DBMS, the data is coming from the user only. We are feeding the data, but in the big data, it is automatically generated by a machine. That is why one example is a sensor which is embedded in the engine is generating the data. That will be the big data. Similarly, the data coming from the internet. When we are in the internet, so many people are using. We are going on adding data to the internet. Mail, let us say email. We are all sending email. We don't know where it is stored, but that is also stored in a cloud repository. That itself is consuming a lot of spaces. Then it is not structured. In database systems, we went to database systems to store in a structured way only. Normally we store it in a file format. When it is coming to other than text format, let us say JPEG format, there itself that unstructured format will come. Suppose you are storing in XML or HTML format, that is also becoming an unstructured format. When it is a text stream, we are going for stream data mining. Even with the stream data mining techniques, we are putting some windows, and within the windows we are able to capture and store it. But if it goes beyond the capacity, it is not properly analyzed. That is why it is different from normal data. And big data generation is not designed to be friendly. It may not have much values. When a machine is generating many data, all data may not be important. Only some data is important. But which part of the data is important, that we cannot find. We have to do analysis. Some examples of big data are Facebook itself is generating lot of data. So Facebook data is big data. In big data, we have variety, volume, and velocity. Variety means it can be structured data, unstructured data, semi-structured data, etc. Volume means it can be either terabytes of data, even more than that. It is not working on records, transactions, tables, files. It is the combination of all and above all. Velocity, it is getting data in real time. It is not like a batch. It can get in batch also, but is getting real time data. Now we will see big data analysis is a important application with quantum machine learning. There are several basic quantum algorithms that are used for solving the machine learning problems, and one such algorithm is used for big data analysis. Maybe a classification algorithm, it can be a clustering algorithm, it can be a rule mining algorithm, but mostly the existing techniques with variations only. The fundamental algorithms in the linear algebra, for example, you want to find the eigenvector, eigenvalues, you want to do the matrix multiplication, you want to do inversion of a matrix, estimating the inner product, like this you can do. So the linear algebra operations, when the matrix size is becoming bigger, it was a problem. When main primes were there, suppose the matrix size is bigger, what we will do is, we will put them into separate functions in such a way that when one matrix is running, other matrix will not be coming into the memory. So most of the time, the programmer's mind was there in the memory management rather than the solution to the problem. We will be worried most about how to reduce the size of the matrix. But here, even if you invert a 1000 by 1000 matrix, you need not worry about the size of the matrix, and you need not worry about the parameter passing mechanisms. You need not worry about dynamic memory allocation, etc. All the linear algebra operations can be done very easily. Now, in machine learning or data analytics, we have k-means clustering algorithm. In the k-means clustering algorithm, we will give the value of k. If you give value of k as 5, it is going to make 5 clusters. But initially you have to give some feedback on how to form the clusters. Later on, the cluster members will be changing each time by computing the distances, and the initial clusters are not going to be equivalent to the final clusters. But if 2 times, if the same members are coming in the clusters, we can terminate the clustering, k-means clustering algorithm. Many people worked on clustering, and many people proposed different distance measures or different clustering algorithms like C-means clustering algorithm, fuzzy k-means, fuzzy C-means, and so on. And it had a number of applications. One example of a cluster application in routing is in network case. In network routing, we are going for cluster-based routing. Cluster-based routing. Instead of sending the data collected by a node to its neighbor, and he will transfer to its neighbor, like that if it is going, it will be going through thousands of hops, sometimes lakhs of hops also, depending upon how densely you are putting the sensors and where the base station is located. At least in hundreds to thousands you will be moving. When it is moving, it is consuming the energy in each of the sensors. To reduce that, what you can do is, you can collect the data within a cluster by a cluster head, and routing will be done only by the cluster head. For the cluster head alone, if you have a cluster head with powerful energy and powerful cluster head, that is possible. Otherwise, you can rotate the cluster head every time, so that one node will be acting as a cluster head for some time. After that, its energy is depleted means you can change the cluster on rotation basis. That way also you can do the routing. In the cluster analysis, one of the problem is the presence of outliers. Outliers means it is not coming into any of the clusters. If you do outlier analysis, for example, in the intrusion resistance systems, by doing outlier analysis, you will be able to identify the anomalies. For example, all the people's behavior will be similar, but only the behavior of a single person will be different. Such anomalies can be identified using outlier analysis. Outlier means it is not a member of any of the clusters. Now we will see the quantum K-means algorithm. தம்பி நான் கால் பண்றேன். In one paper written by Samsam Yukon, it is a thesis written in KTH University, Sweden, and that people are very pioneer in research, KTH University, and they are responsible for developing the 4G, 5G, etc. They have a very strong research group. So any paper coming from that KTH University, it is a new and novel idea. In that paper, the authors have developed a quantum analog of the K-means algorithm called Q-means algorithm. Q-means means it is K-means only, but it is the quantum version of the K-means algorithm. We will see the steps of the K-means algorithm first. The K-means steps of the algorithm start with the initial clusters. Now find the distance of you find a centroid for each cluster. On each cluster, find the distance of nodes from the centroid. After that, you will be putting in a table. Now compare. If this distance is more than the distance to some other cluster center, you can move that to some other center. Like that, if you are going on moving, finally you will get the final clusters. In quantum computing, we will do the algorithm like this. They start in a quantum superposition of all the vectors in the data set. Then they are simultaneously finding all the distances to each one of the K centroids. So if there are K means K equal to 5 PQ, 5 centroids will be there. You want to find the distances to 5 centroids. 5 centroids means normal machine learning algorithms are sufficient. But if it is 5,000, 5 lakhs like that, if the quantity is more, then the operations are becoming complex. Then they label all vectors simultaneously. That is the thing. Normally, labeling is done one by one. Distance computation is done one by one. But here, the labeling, distance computing, both are done together. That is very fast it is done. All labels are written in a quantum state. That is in superposition too. So the labels are written in the quantum state. The quantum K-means algorithm, they measure the label qubits. According to quantum physics, it says that we will randomly see only one label. It means that the remaining quantum state is a superposition of all vectors with that label. That is a quantum trick. Using quantum matrix multiplication, they obtained a quantum state describing the new centroid. That means for finding the new centroid, we are not using any formula for centroid. Normally, we are doing the distance measure. We have a number of distance measures like Euclidean distance, Minkowski distance, and so on, Manhattan distance, and so on. But here, they are not using anything. They are using quantum matrix multiplication. Then they perform tomography to retrieve the classical version of the new centroid. Then they route the last two steps until they have k new centroids. In K-means algorithm, finding the new centroid is a tedious process, but here it is done very easily, very fast. So what we have seen in this is the quantum version of the K-means clustering. Yesterday and today, I have talked about the use of quantum computers for AI and machine learning. First, I started with the AI. In the AI, the most complex problem is searching. For example, genetic algorithm. Today morning, I was going through a paper, and in that they were doing the genetic algorithm optimization problem, solving the genetic algorithm optimization problem using quantum computers. So the quantum version of the genetic algorithm is also available. If you take a search algorithm, in that genetic algorithm itself is a search algorithm. The genetic algorithm, they will do first, they will generate two populations. The two parents they will generate. The two parents they will make produce children. Some mutation operations will be done. Crossover and mutation operations will be done in order to enhance the power of the algorithm. In addition to that, you have to do the population selection. For that, a number of selection methods are available. You have to define an activation function. The way in which you are defining the activation function also can give you a good result. With the genetic algorithm, you can solve many problems, including a knapsack problem. The knapsack problem, you are given a bag. Suppose you are going to travel through plane. That time you will be given a bag, but most valuable things you have to take. If you are going abroad, you are allowed to take only 15 kg, let us say. 15 kg of rice, if you take, it is not having money value. If you take 15 kg of some other eatables, it will be having money value. So value you have to increase. You have to increase the value, but minimize the total weight. That is done in knapsack problem. That knapsack problem itself is solved using genetic algorithm. Next, there are many swarm intelligence algorithms like particle swarm intelligence, ant colony optimization, firefly algorithm, wolf algorithm, like that. So many swarm intelligence algorithms are coming, including particle swarm optimization itself is a good algorithm. Honeybee search algorithm is there. All the behavior of swarms. Let me take the example of ant colony optimization. If you take the ant colony optimization, you can apply it for finding the route in the network. All the route finding problems, they start with the distance vector. We are measuring only the distances. We reduce the number of hops to reach the destination using a shortest path. But in the ants behavior, they not only see the shortest route, but they see the obstacles. We don't see the obstacles very much. If you find a shortest route, it may be having more congestion. The road conditions may not be good. If you travel in a vehicular network, the vehicular network, you want to travel in a car, but you want to do communication. When you are traveling in a car, if you want to go in a optimal route, not a shortest route, the optimal route must have a good road first. Second thing, the number of vehicles which are passing in the road must be minimum. Suppose you are traveling in a free road, you can go fast. A road with full of congested vehicles, it will take time. That is why in the ant colony optimization, ants are going for optimal route rather than the shortest route. One ant is going means it will put pheromones on the route. Using the pheromones given by the ants, all the other ants will be following that. So that is one algorithm. And in the logics, I told yesterday that there are different logics, starting with the proposition logic. In that, true or false only will be there. In the proposition logic and the predicate logic, they are called the first order logic. In that, either true or false only will be used. But when we come to higher order logic, like first order fuzzy logic, we can do gradation of truth values. For example, big, let us say height, tall man. Tall man, when you say tall man in one place, may not be the tall man in some other place. That is why we use a quantity to decide what is a tall. In fuzzy logic, we are using qualitative words rather than quantitative words. When you use qualitative words, you may say that good boy or tasty food. Like that, when you say the food which is tasty to one person may not be tasty to some other person. Therefore, the word tasty itself is a fuzzy. Good car, good shaped car, cheap car, or cheap rate car means for you the cheap rate car may be 10 lakhs. For me, the cheap rate car may be 5 lakhs. For somebody else, the cheap rate car may be 1 crore and so on. So fuzzy logic is an extension of logic. Then temporal logic. In the temporal logic, you can have a tree starting with past. For past, different branches will be there. And the present, there will be one branch. And the future, there will be different branches. So the different past nodes can be there. Different possible futures are available. But the current will be only one. That way you will make a tree and make decisions. So temporal logic will be there. The most important logic which is used right now in AI is epistemic logic. In the epistemic logic, they introduce agent. That is why the current treatment of artificial intelligence, they are treating with respect to intelligent agents. A king wanted to find the intelligent agent from 3 agents. The 3 agents were closed, taken to a closed room. They tied their eyes, and the king was having 2 marker pens. One is black and another is white. He is putting one mark on the forehead of the 3 people, and he wanted to find who is the most wise agent. What he was doing is he was putting a white on all the people, white mark on the forehead of all the 3 people. He called the police agent first, and what color I have put on you. After opening everything, they came out. The eyes are opened. It is not tied anymore. The king is asking the police agent. The police agent is seeing the color of other 2 people. Both are having white. He is thinking that since both other people are having white, mine will be black. He told, I am marked with black. The king told, you are not correct. Then second agent, he was comparing other 2, and other 2 are in white, and he started computing the probabilities. After computing the probability, he told that I have more probability for black, but some probability for white. But the king told, you should not say like this. You have to give either white or black. Finally, he told black. He felt that black is having more probability by seeing the other 2 persons having white. Therefore, he is also wrong. Finally, the wise man was called. He is seeing white on other 2 people. He is doing the reasoning like this. Since they have seen a white on me, they told black for them. There is a possibility that one white, it is having a probability of only 1 by 8. Even though it is having a least probability, the king selected white. I will say white. The king accepted him as the most intelligent agent. After that, all the logics in AI are written in terms of agent. Now, agent-based approach only is used. But when we use agent for logical reasoning, if it is a simple mathematical reasoning, for example, converting to conjunctive normal form or class form, that conversion can be done using the normal computers also very fast it is doing. But the conversion in a predicate logic with substitution, with unification, and if you are going for a resolution proof, that is becoming more complex for a computer to do that. That is why they move to backward chaining. With forward chaining, if you do inference, thousands of rules are taken one by one, and it consumes more time. Only for a small knowledge base it was successful. They preferred backward chaining reasoning. In the Prolog programming language engine, in the Prolog itself programming language, they have provided it the inference engine. Only one programming language is having inference engine, that is Prolog. In that they are following backward chaining reasoning. Backward chaining reasoning means it starts from the goal node and proceeds towards the root node. That is, it finds the rules necessary for that reaching the goal, and after finding the rule, then we can apply them in the forward chaining direction. That application, when they tried with the normal computers, many times the inference process is going on running. There, the quantum approach can be is tried out now. In that also some papers are available on the application of quantum rules for formulas itself. For example, resolution algorithm means a quantum version is available. Unification algorithm means a quantum version is available. Inference means a quantum inference process. Like that, they have tried all the combinations. In addition to that AI combination, in the machine learning algorithms also, if you see the TensorFlow Q package, it has the variation of quantum variation of decision tree algorithm. In the a collection of decision trees will give you a random forest. In the random forest, the best decision tree will be taken. Best decision tree, if you want to take, you want to make many decision trees first. So the decision tree is available in the quantum TensorFlow quantum. After that, the random forest version is also available, but it is to be checked with real life data. Next, what is tried out by many people up to now are two important algorithms. One neural network algorithm, quantum neural network, it is a supervised algorithm, and quantum k-means algorithm, it is an unsupervised algorithm. For these two, they have tried, and they found that the performance of quantum neural networks are much better than the performance of deep learning. Similarly, quantum k-means is performing much better than the k-means algorithm. These are the things I wanted to talk. Somebody is doing research on AI machine learning. You can see good papers in IEEE transactions on knowledge and data engineering, IEEE intelligent systems. In Elsevier also, you can try for expert system with applications, applied soft computing, data and knowledge engineering, knowledge-based systems, like that journals are available. Like that, you have to take good journals. Database area means, for example, in database area, many good journals are available in ACM. One good journal is ACM transaction and database systems. For data mining means ACM SIG-ADD. Sigma record is ACM Sigma record is there, but the starting on any research, whether you are in database or AI or machine learning or quantum computing, you try to get a survey paper from a reputed journal. In our area, I try to get a survey paper from ACM Computing Surveys. If I am getting a survey paper from ACM Computing Surveys, it will cover all the aspects of, let us say I am willing to do research in intrusion detection using data mining techniques. It will cover all the data mining techniques. It will cover all the intrusion detection systems. and application of data mining techniques by different people for intrusion reduction problem. They will list out and they will compare the merits and demerits of each and everything. Once you get a survey paper, you will be getting to know what are the important journals. But the survey paper which you are taking must be from a reputed journal. Once you take one survey paper from a reputed journal, they will be referring to only good journals which are also reputed with high impact factor. You are collecting good literature based on that. Once you collect a literature, then you have to do literature study. When you do the literature study, in the first instance, you cannot read the full paper. You can read abstract, introduction, and conclusion for every paper. If you are interested, suppose you are collecting 100 papers. In that, if there are 10 papers which are of interest to you, you read them once. In that, at least 5 papers you may be getting more interest. That 5 papers you read again. At last, you select 2 papers, read 5 times, and 1 paper you take, read line by line, annotate, even the algorithms, mathematics, derivations, everything you go through deep, you will get an idea on how to solve your problem. That way only you can go even with, even if you are getting quantum versions or normal versions, the approach will be similar. You can do a good research if you are applying AI and machine learning. Why I have taken this topic is, I am doing research on different areas, but my major area is artificial intelligence and machine learning. I started my research in database systems, but later on, because of my scholars, I had to move to so many other subjects, but every subject I was integrating with AI and machine learning. If you put AI approach for any problem, whether it is mechanical engineering or civil engineering or even other than engineering, agriculture, anything, if you apply AI, you will get a good solution. That is why always research is possible. You can get good publications, you can do a good research, but if you apply AI and machine learning techniques, then it will be better for you to do a good research. That's what these are the things I wanted to deliver. Any doubts?
Participants, if you have any doubts, you just unmute your mic and ask. Okay, sir.
Yes, please.
No one is asking.
Okay, madam. No problem.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, madam. Thank you, madam.
Yeah. Thank you so much for guiding us on machine learning using quantum computing.
Okay.
So, on behalf of Department of Information Technology, Tharawal Shahri Engineering College, we are very much thankful to you, sir, that you have accepted our invitation and delivered these 2 sessions of the FDP in a very lucid way, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, madam. Okay, thank you, madam.
Yes, sir. All the participants and next session will be on the Zoom. So all of you join the Zoom link by 12:15. So already the link I have sent in the WhatsApp group. So all of you join through that link. Thank you.